Okay, I don't have a lot of time, so I need to get this out. Just in case. It started as a joke, this weird thing I was going to send to my friends. But now, just look, this thing, it's in every photo I've taken for the last 3 weeks. Every single one. I have no idea who or what it is or what it wants, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm documenting everything, starting right from the beginning. 3 weeks ago, life was normal. You know, boring in that comfortable, predictable way you don't really appreciate until it's gone. I just moved into a new apartment and was trying to make it feel like home. I bought one of those big, leafy plants, a monstera. I think it was because I heard they're basically impossible to kill. I set it by the window where the afternoon light was perfect, and I pulled out my phone to take a picture. For the group chat, you know? To prove I was an adult who could keep a plant alive, I snapped the photo, glanced at it, and frowned. In the window's reflection, just behind my shoulder, there was a blurry figure. Just a shape, really. A smudge of a person in the background. My first thought was just annoyance. I'm on the 3rd floor, and there's no balcony across from me, so it couldn't be a neighbor. I figured it had to be a weird reflection, some trick of the light. But it looked just human enough that I couldn't shake it. I took another picture, moving a little. Still there. A 3rd, then a 4th. The figure just stayed there, this constant, silent observer in the glass. I remember actually laughing. I sent the best one to my friends with the caption, "Guess my new place is haunted." They all sent back laughing emojis. A ghost photobombing my plant picture. It was funny. I didn't think about it for the rest of the day. I was way more worried about what to get for dinner than some smudge in a photo. A photobomb is just part of life, right? An accident. Sometimes it's a tourist, sometimes your friend makes a face. In my case, it was just a glitch, a weird optical illusion. It was just easier to believe that than any other option. It was nothing, I told myself. A comforting lie that I actually believed for a little while. That was my first mistake. The truth is, I should have been terrified from the moment I saw that first picture. I just didn't know it yet. It was a couple of days before things really started to feel wrong. I was out for a walk in a park nearby, trying to get to know the neighborhood. It was one of those perfect sunny afternoons, the last gasp of summer before fall kicks in. I took a selfie with the leaves turning colors in the background. It wasn't until later, when I was sitting on a bench, scrolling through my camera roll, that I opened it, and my stomach just dropped. There it was, standing way in the background between 2 trees. The same tall, thin shape. It was blurry, just a silhouette against the bright sun, but it was the same figure. My heart started hammering in my chest. This wasn't a reflection in my apartment window. This was a public park miles from my house, full of people. I started frantically swiping through my gallery. A picture of my lunch from yesterday at a crowded cafe. It was there, a blurred shape through the window, standing on the street. A quick snap of a funny sign on the sidewalk. It was there, a shadow stretched way too long at the edge of the frame. It was always in the background, never the main focus. Always half hidden or blurry with distance, or obscured by something. It was like it knew the rules of a good photo. It knew how to be there without ever being the subject. This is when the paranoia started to sink its teeth in. It began as this low hum of anxiety I couldn't shake. I started looking over my shoulder when I was walking home. I'd check the locks on my door 3-4 times a night. That feeling of being watched wasn't just a feeling anymore. I had proof. I had dozens of pictures of it. My first rational thought was a stalker. Someone was following me. Someone impossibly good at being everywhere I was, right when I took a picture. But how? How could anyone do that? From a selfie inside my locked apartment to a random picture of a pigeon in a park, it made no sense. It was impossible. Then my mind went somewhere darker, more modern. Was my phone hacked? Was this some kind of insane, next-level virus? An AR prank from hell? That was a whole new kind of fear, that cold, specific dread of having your own tech turned against you. The idea that this device I carry everywhere, my connection to everything, was now a window for something to look back at me. I stopped taking pictures for 2 days. I was too scared to even open the camera app. But the not knowing was even worse. I had to figure out what was happening. By the end of that first week, I knew I couldn't just ignore it. The fear was starting to eat me alive. So I did what everyone does when they're losing their mind. I went online. My first and most logical theory was a high-tech stalker using some crazy advanced malware. I spent hours digging. My search history looked like something out of a bad spy movie. Can AI add figures to photos automatically? Malware editing photos in real time. Smartphone camera security vulnerabilities 2025. I dove deep into cybersecurity forums and tech blogs, searching for anything that explained what was happening. And you know what I found? Nothing. Sure, there's scary malware that can hijack your camera. There are AI photo editors that can add or remove things after a picture is taken. But there was nothing, absolutely nothing, that described this. No known virus that can manipulate a live camera feed and insert a consistent, complex figure in real time across different apps without leaving any trace. Everything I read said it's just not possible with the tech we have. My phone doesn't have the processing power for that. And finding that out, it wasn't a relief. It was way worse. A stalker is terrifying. A virus is a violation. But at least they're things that exist. They're explainable. The fact that there was no technical explanation meant I was dealing with something else. Something unknown. Still, I had to be sure. I went through every security check I could think of. I checked every single app permission, deleted anything that looked remotely shady. I ran multiple security scans. My phone was clean. The next step was to isolate the problem. Was it the phone? Or was it me? I dug my old phone out of a drawer, one with a cracked screen I hadn't touched in 4 years. I did a full factory reset, wiped it completely clean. I didn't log into a single account. I made a new blank profile. It was a ghost phone, no connection to me. Then, with a knot in my stomach, I took a picture of my desk. My hand was shaking as I opened the gallery and tapped the thumbnail. And there it was, faint, almost transparent, but it was there, standing in the corner of the room. A tall, slender smudge. It wasn't the phone. It wasn't an app. It was me, or it was attached to me. When I'd reset my new phone, the only thing I transferred was my SIM card. My number, Could it be attached to that? Some kind of digital parasite latched onto my identity? That whole ghost in the machine idea suddenly stopped being some philosophical thought experiment and started feeling terrifyingly literal. This thing wasn't just in my photos. It was in my life, a silent passenger I couldn't shake. The next week was just a blur of quiet terror. I stopped talking to my friends. I mean, how do you even bring this up? Hey, sorry, I've been quiet. A demonic entity has attached itself to my phone number and is photobombing me into a nervous breakdown. I felt so alone. The constant knowledge that something was always there, just out of sight, but always in my phone, was grinding me down. My apartment, my new home, started to feel like a cage. I'd just sit in silence, staring at my phone, terrified to use it, but more terrified not to. I needed to see it, to know it was still there. And then it got worse. The figure started to get clearer. It had always been a blur, a smudge. Creepy, sure, but indistinct. But around the 2-week mark, I took a picture of the rain in my living room window. When I looked at it, I felt this jolt of ice water in my veins. It was clearer, still out of focus, still a shadow, but for the first time I could see a form. It was tall, unnaturally tall, with long, skinny limbs. It had a defined head and shoulders. No face, just a smooth, featureless oval of deeper shadow, but it was tilted. Like it was looking right at me. I became obsessed. I started taking pictures constantly, not of memories, but just to see it, to study it. Each photo was a little clearer. A picture of my bookshelf. It was in the hallway behind me, more solid than before. A selfie in the bathroom mirror. Its shape was dark and solid, no longer see-through, standing right behind my reflection. It was like it was feeding on the data, using each photo to build itself, to become more real. My digital parasite theory felt more and more plausible. Was this some kind of emergent AI, a ghost born from the static of the digital world that latched onto me? These complex systems can sometimes develop behaviors their creators never intended. Was I just the unlucky host for a new, horrifying form of digital life? An entity that only existed in the space between the camera lens and the sensor? I tried taking a video. I thought maybe if I could see it move, I'd understand. I set up my phone, hit record, and just walked around my apartment. I even talked to it, my voice shaking. What are you? What do you want? When I played it back, the file was corrupted. Just a mess of glitching pixels and awful, screeching static. But for one single horrifying frame, as I panned past a mirror, you could see it. It wasn't moving. Just a static, solid shape in the corner of the reflection, totally still as the world moved around it. It wasn't playing by the rules of my world. It was a bug in reality. And it was getting stronger. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I was just living on the edge of a panic attack, waiting for it to escalate again, waiting for a face to appear in the blur. The thought of what I might see kept me awake for 2 straight days. Finally, something in me just broke. I couldn't live like this. Hiding wasn't working. It was only getting stronger. I had to face it. So last night, I decided to confront it. My plan was simple, born from pure exhaustion and desperation. I wanted to take a picture where there was no background, no reflections, no tricks of the light, just me and a blank space. I went into my bedroom. The the smallest room in the apartment. I turned off every light until it was pitch black, that suffocating kind of darkness. I stood in the middle of the room with my back pressed flat against the cold, empty wall. There was nothing behind me. I knew it. I held up my phone, my thumb hovering over the button for the front-facing camera. My own face, pale and terrified, stared back, lit only by the screen's glow. My heart was pounding against my ribs. I was going to use the screen flash for a selfie. In that split second of light, the camera would capture me, the wall, and whatever else was in the room. I took a deep breath, and I pressed the button. For one instant, the world went white. The afterimage burned on my eyelids. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood there in the dark, shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. I have never been more afraid in my life than I was of looking at that picture. But I had to. I unlocked my phone. I opened the gallery, and I saw it. It's the photo I showed you at the start, Dot. It was the clearest it has ever been. It wasn't a smudge anymore, not a silhouette. It was a solid, three-dimensional thing, standing right behind me. Its long, thin fingers were curled over my shoulder, and its head was tilted next to mine, its smooth, featureless face turned not towards me, but towards the camera, towards the lens, as if it knew, as if for the very first time, it was looking back at me, Dot. That was last night, and I have no idea what to do now. It feels closer, not just in the photos. I can feel it in the room with me, a cold spot right over my shoulder. Every photo I take gets clearer. It feels like it's learning, evolving. I'm going to keep documenting this. I have to. What happens when it's finally in focus? What happens when it's not just in the photos anymore? I don't know, but I feel like I'm running out of time to find out. If anyone has ever seen anything like this, if you have any clue what this is, please tell me in the comments. Subscribe for updates because I don't know what comes next, but I'm going to find out, and I'm afraid. I am so afraid.